Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It is me, your old pal Orpheus, with another adventure here on Orpheus Plays. How you doing? So today, I have something really interesting to talk about. I had a lot of Facebook friends back in the day, and something weird happened, and I think most of them think I'm dead. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Hi, how you doing? Hope you're doing well today, whether it's day or night. It doesn't matter to me, just as long as you're coming by and hanging out with me. So, we are in survival mode here in the arena. 3 weapons come out, I choose one, etc., etc. Make things bad for everybody that come out. I'm eyeing this javelin, but I always suck with this thing. So I'm gonna go with the big old sword here, get things started with our first traditional slow motion kill of the day. Let's take care of that in some super slow-mo. This is gonna be so bad for this guy. What did I do? I slashed him across the abdomen here. Let's just give him a little stab just to make sure. Oh, that's awful. Anyway, now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about today's topic. So, we're talking here in this little story about like 12 years ago, something like that. And the thing actually happened 12 years ago, but it started a lot sooner than that. So, with Facebook, social media like that, Facebook especially has a feature that kind of like connects you with people, right? And so you're logged in, you tell it all this stuff about you, and then it like suggests people, or you get into groups, like high school groups or something. So for me, it was kind of tough for me to find all of my high school friends at first, because most of them were like named like Jenny Jones and like Bob Smith and stuff like that. It's when I look back, it's alarming how many people in my high school like class had like different names. And then to make it even more complicated, right? I had 2. This is a weird one. I might go into this story in another episode, but what happened was I had 2 senior years because I had to. How do I explain this really quickly? I had 1 credit that I didn't have my first senior year, right? For some reason, I missed getting 1 credit in science. And the only problem was I had somehow taken all the science classes that I could as a senior. So I had to come back the next year in order to take the damn science class at another school in the district, mind you. But so I had 2 senior years, and so I had a bunch of people that I actually went through high school with, and then I had another senior class that I spent a year with, and so things got a little complicated with that. So I have all these people on my friends list, and I have all these people that are we're all updating each other on our lives, and we're getting to the point where all my high school friends they're going on grand vacations, and they're having kids and buying houses and stuff, and here I am in my part of of life, and things were not going tremendously well, like things were happening. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you might know that life gets kind of interesting for me once in a while, and we float around and things don't get done and everything like that. And so anyway, I had a friends list of about 50 people that I'd been, that I'd gone to high school with in various ways. And so about 12 years ago, actually it was more like about 15, 17 years ago, I was with my wife, Mrs. Orpheus, and we were traveling around for jobs and stuff like that. And turns out, if you've seen my other episode about my appendectomy and my emergency appendectomy, it turns out I had I had chronic appendicitis for 20 some odd years. Which means that occasionally I would get these flare-ups that would, they would come close sometimes to turning into full-blown, having to have your appendix removed, appendicitis. But they never really got to that point, and I found out a couple of times it really got close to being appendicitis. And so, over the years, I got weaker and weaker, and I don't know what was going on. There was something going on with me, but we were in places where hospitals were very hard to come by. I'd go to the doctor, they'd run some tests, and they'd go, well, we're not seeing anything wrong. So I don't know what's going on. So I was like losing weight, and like I was on so many medications for different things, for different like effects that we were treating like symptoms, my doctor and I. And that is not always the best way to do things, because I had so many pills. I would take the pills, I'd have to fall asleep for like 4 or 5 hours until they ran out, and I'd have to wake up, take the pills, and I would just go back to sleep. And I couldn't get out of bed. There was a time that I was in a wheelchair for a while. It was pretty bad, and like no one really knew what was going on, including me, of course, right? So the early internet, not the early internet, but the internet. Started doing some research on my own, and of course doctors love when you do that. And the internet medical database wasn't as strong about 12 13 years ago, and so I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't work, I could hardly feed myself and stuff like that. It was so bizarre, and it was really scary, right? I would go to bed and I would like pass out and just be basically unconscious for a couple of hours, not know what was going on and everything. It was rough. And so I was keeping all my friends. I mean, they're not all friends. They weren't people that I knew individually and stuff. Most of them were not. There was maybe like 4 or 5 that I was really actually friends with, that I was friends with on Facebook, right? And so I was keeping everybody updated on what was going on, and about like not being able to really get out of bed. I was losing weight and everything, and I was convinced that it was cancer. I mean, there was really no other explanation. I mean, come on. If you were faced with all that stuff, you'd hardly eat. Sometimes I would pass out in the bathroom, okay? Now, when I look back at it, and I kind of go, with the frame of reference of having that chronic appendicitis, there were those times that it was flaring up so bad that, like, I was basically having appendicitis, like almost a ruptured appendix, except it didn't fully go that way, but I was still having all the symptoms. And when you have it in like a chronic fashion, it can get really, really bad, like incredibly bad, because you still have some of that bacteria going on, you still have some of that other nastiness, the bloating, the pain, the weakness, all that. And so there were times, and this was one of the times in my life, that it was apparently really bad for like 3 years, man. It was just constantly all the symptoms that were just freaking me out. No one could figure it out. We took x-rays, we took like scans and stuff, nothing. So there was a point where I was like, guys, I don't know how much longer I'm going to last. I lost like 25 pounds at that point. I wasn't able to do really anything. My wife and I were freaked out. We were crying on different nights, like together, just kind of holding each other. And it was to the point where we knew something was wrong and thought that something might be. Give me my sword back. Give me my sword. Damn it. Give me my sword. So we were convinced that things were going to be trending downhill very quickly. And so I told my friends, I said, if you don't see me for a little while, I'm trying to go get some treatment for something if we can figure things out. I mean, I was doing stuff like taking 5,000 milligrams of vitamin C every other thing to try to blast things out. I was doing all sorts of alternative stuff to manage the pain myself and everything. It was bad. And so, like, again, I'm keeping everybody updated on Facebook about this. And so then the unthinkable happens. But I didn't know it, right? I had a couple of weeks where I didn't have, like, the ability to go online. It was, I don't remember what it was. Either I was really sick, or we were traveling, or something happened. I don't remember what it was. Maybe it was like our internet was out, a combination of that and traveling somewhere, whatever it was. I couldn't go on Facebook for about 2.5 weeks. Well, it turned out that my account had gotten hacked. And the hacker decided in his maliciousness to just outright delete my account. And now, looking back at this, I'm glad that that's what they did instead of like screwing with my messages and everything, because there was a tremendous amount of damage that they could do, like emotionally manipulate people, try to scam them out of money, stuff like that. So it was like 2.5 weeks. I went to go log in back into my account, and it was like, account doesn't exist. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? So I did a little work with the Facebook customer service or technical support, and it turns out if you have lost an account, somehow it got deleted, right? If you do it yourself or a hacker does it or whatever like that, you have 2 weeks. You have 14 days, or at least you did back then. I don't know if it's still the same thing. You have 14 days to correct the issue, right? To contact them. They'll see if they can undelete the account, restore it, right? But if you go beyond 14 days, your account is gone. And it had been like 17, 18 days or something like that. And so I'm on technical support with them on my wife's account, on my wife's Facebook. And I was like, is there anything I can do? And I said, nope. There's nothing at all we can do. I'm like, you can't even give me my friends list or anything like that? And he's, nope, nothing like that. We can't do anything at all. And I'm like, oh, well, hell. I don't know what quite to do, right? So I got another account, and it's the one that I actually have today that's named Orpheus, as a matter of fact. And I started trying to find these people, right? All of the people that I went to high school with that now had not heard from me in about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks at this point, because I spent a few days trying to figure stuff out. And so I start trying to look for these people. But like I said, they're all like Bob Smith and like Jenny Jones and stuff like that. So I'm doing these searches of Jenny Jones and Bob Smith. Well, it turns out my high school name is kind of very common, and I didn't know that. So when I go to search one of them, there's like 300 people that show up, or even more, right? For some of them, it's like, 1,300 results. I'm like, oh my God, this isn't gonna work. So I knew maybe 3 people, but here's the problem. Some of the ones that I did know well, and that I did know their names and stuff, if you've watched my channel for a while, you might know that I have brain damage. And I also have some other cognitive kind of things going on that reduce my memory capability at this point. So a lot of my memories from a big block of my life are just gone, right? And so I don't remember most of the names, if not almost all of them. It's silly. I don't know what to do, right? So I spent like maybe 3 months trying to figure out what was going on, and I was trying to find people. I found maybe I think 3, and I put them on my friends list now. I have like 60 some odd friends or something like that now. But they're in there somewhere, and they know what's going on. But they weren't the people that were like popular in high school, right? So they weren't the ones that communicated at all with anybody. And so you know what? I figured the people that were always finding me on Facebook, they were like, "Hey Orpheus, hey, it's so good. I have no long time no talk, bruh. How you doing?" And I'm always thinking like, there's a reason it was long time no talk, because you were an asshole to me and I don't care. So like, I didn't care. So I'd friend him. I'm like, whatever, man. Right? Fully knowing that I just didn't care about this person at all. And so I just decided I didn't care about all those people. The 2 people, or maybe 3, that I did let know, again, they weren't going to tell anybody else. They didn't care. And so basically, my high school, the people that knew me from high school, I think they think I'm dead. Like, I really do think that they have this very strong impression that I might not be alive anymore. And do I care? Do I really, really care about contacting them or trying to find them? Do some deep web searches or something to try to figure out what's going on? No, I don't care. I really don't care. I didn't have all that much fun in high school. People made fun of me. I was the butt of a lot of jokes and stuff like that. And so, you know what? If they think I'm dead, screw it. It's like faking your own death, except I didn't really fake my own death. I just decided not to confirm or deny it to anybody. Anyway, do you have any silly stories like that? Like anytime that you had a whole bunch of friends, suddenly lost the whole list and were like, what the hell do I do now? I don't know how to find any of these people anymore. Anyway, that's my little story for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Anyway, be good, do good, and treat yourself well, because you know what? You deserve it, and we will see you next time here on Orpheus Plays. And that's it. Bye.